and let's just start. This first section is called Poems Under Saturn, and it seems like a forward. The ancient sages, like today's, worth listening to, believed a point still not elucidated, though, that in the sky they read both disaster and happiness, and that each soul was bound to one of the stars. We scoff a lot at this explanation of the nightly mystery without thinking that our laugh is ridiculous as well as a disappointing one. But those who are born under the sign of Saturn, dear to necromancers, tawny planet, shared, according to the ancient black books, a large part of misfortune and bile. Imagination, restless and feeble, in them brings to nothing the effort of reason. The blood in their veins flows subtle as a poison. Burning like lava, rarefied it rolls, crackling their sad ideal which crumbles. So must these Saturnians suffer, and so must die, admitting that we are mortal. Their life's plan sketched out line for line by the logic of a malignant sign. That's kind of fire. I don't know who Verlaine was, um, but he's about it. Let's see, where was he born? We don't even get a biography of Verlaine here. We just get straight textual interpretation from our introduction, um, as translators tend to give. Mary is here with us. Thank you for joining, Mary. Glad to have you. All right, now we're on to the prologue. Prologue. That was the preface, I guess. In those fabled eras, the limbo of history, in which the sons of Ragu, handsome with fard and glory, extended their brilliant reign toward the Ganga, rivals of gods and demons, and Bhagavan himself, and the intensity of their august virtues, ascending toward the supreme nothingness. Ah, the earth and the sea and the sky still pure and young, sprinkled by a trembling gold shower, calming their rumpling thunderheads, their ripe harvests and sudden floods, restraining their swarms and stubborn flights, heard sacred poets sing of warrior saints. This while the sky and the sea and the earth saw, now grown flushed and weary with their austere labor. The warrior saints bow, chastened, their wildness awestruck before the sacred bard. A close sustaining bond joined them. Serene Kishatira and the singer who was calm, the excellent Valmiki and the excellent Rama, as on a pond two clumps of lotus flowers, and ancient Hellas, beneath your clear gold sky, from stern Sparta to laughing Attica, Orpheus, Alcaeus, the epic poets, were still lordly heroes and fought in combat. Homer, if he did not make himself wield him the sword, nonetheless made ring out your unwearied echoes, raised immense clamor, great legacies sung of Hector and Odysseus and Achilles. The heroes in their return after the great contest made pious sacrifice to the 9 chaste muses, and no less than the art of Ares loved the art for which the immortal palm was the prize. Achilles above all, and Odysseus, Laertes' son, tamed the spirit and heart and soul of everyone, convinced, enchanted by his golden speech always, just as Orpheus tamed the tigers and bears. Later, in rougher climates, in barbaric eras, among the riotous Franks, our ancestors, the heroic Trouvere, did he not, like the valiant knight, have his distinguished share of combat? Did not Theroldus, having sung of Charlemagne, and his nephew Roland, who stayed in the mountain, and good Olivier and Turpin, and the great-hearted and handsome couplets, in which harsh rhythm vaunted, and in battles 50 years later, did not the hard liegeman, whose blood would pour from 20 wounds, sing of Roncevaux, the chanson de geste of Roland, and those who saw and were a part of the huge superb butchery, in this time of the emperor whose beard was flowery. Action and dream have broken nowadays, their primitive pact worn down by the centuries, and some have found it disastrous, this divorce, between immense blue harmony and force, force that once upon a time the poet bridled. White-winged steed that dazzled, force now force. It is the ferocious, mad-bounding beast, and always ready for any carnage, for any devastation, from this end of the world to the other one. Action once measured by the song of the lyre, drunken disrupts, prey to the 100,000 obscure deliriums of a boiling century. Action, just now, action, oh pity. It is the hurricane, the tempest, the surging tide, in the starless night that will unroll and spread. Amid dull sounds, the red and green terror of its lightning bolts through a sky ajar. Meanwhile, proud and gentle, far from the uproar of life and the undisciplined shock of mercenary war, see them ascending the ineffable height. Hear the group of singers dressed in white and the glimmerings of the setting sun, reddening the serene pride of their position, so beautiful, so pure in their eyes the beam of light, in their countenance of God's unfinished dream. Disturbed by their profound speech, the world exiles them, and they exile that by which they are exiled, because they have finally understood that loneliness suits their slow march, that they need no longer mingle this pure tone with the crowd's exultation, its irresolute cries, violent and obscene. The poet, the love of beauty is his faith, his battle. Standard, the azure, his law, the ideal. Ask no more of him, because his eyes, in which the radiance of eternities has put the visions he follows so eagerly, who know not how to abase themselves even briefly, with the shameful conflict of your low tasks, your empty vanities, and if, not long ago, one saw him amid human beings, taking on their quarrels, weeping with them, urging them to war, celebrating the pride of their republics, military pomp in the courts, bardic splendor on the kitara, harp, and lute, if from time to time he would honor the present with a greeting, and even designed to play the role of priest, to love and bless, and wanted to be the voice that cried or laughed when one laughed or cried. If toward the human soul his spirit bowed, he was mistaken about the human soul, only that. Now go, my book, where chance may indicate. A little bit of poor translating with that last line of the prologue. The rhythm had to change. It didn't end neatly. That's all right. We can forgive that. Um, Interesting. He's invoking a lot of traditions here. Um, Kind of in a way resembling the traditional Greek um, preamble to the Muses, which is an interesting point, especially when he invokes the Eastern imagery in the beginning. Some Hindu terminology, I believe, before he moves on to the Greeks. So lots of traditions coming together here, but I think we're predominantly being dealing in the Greek tradition, especially because it's poems under Saturn, the Titan. So we have both astrology and Greek mythology coming together in this poem, in this book of poems. Um, and we can see what it's all about. This next section is called Melancholia. Part 1, Resignation. When I was little, I went along the dreaming of Kori Nur, a Persian and papal sumptuousness, Heliogabalus and Sardanapalus, under roofs of worked gold my desire, created amid music and fragrances, endless harems, physical paradises, nowadays calmer and no less passionate. But knowing life and knowing I must bend, I have been obliged and have restrained, though not too much restrained, my lovely fit. The great slips from my grasp. Why then, so be it, but fie on the pleasant, the no more than gay, and I hate a routinely pretty woman, a wise friend, and always and forever a rhyme that is assonant. So the first thing to note here is that this is written in the form of a sonnet. Um, it's not titled a sonnet, but it is at least in the original French, it follows the rhyme scheme, and it is 2 stanzas of 3 lines and 2 stanzas of 4 lines. So we're dealing in sonnets, which I was not anticipating. And I guess it's okay to be surprised by a sonnet, but it's not ideal. Section 2, Part 2, Nevermore. Memory, memory, what do you want from me? I remember autumn made the thrush fly through the lifeless air, and the sun launched a monotonous ray where the north wind exploded in a wood growing yellower. We were alone together and, dreaming, wandered, she and I, our hair and our thoughts in the wind. Suddenly, her gaze full of feeling, she turned. What was your happiest day? Her voice livened. Her soft, resonant voice. Cool timbre of an angel. My reply was a reserved smile, and I devoutly kissed her white hand. Ah, the first flowers and their perfume, and the murmuring spell of the sound. That first yes from those lips when you so loved them. Poem 3, After 3 Years. Having pushed open the narrow wobbling gate, I strolled around the little garden, gently illuminated by the morning sun, spangling each flower with a damp flash of light. The simple arbor, it's all still here, nothing's different. The madly growing vines, the chairs of cane, always making its silver murmur, the fountain, and the old aspen, its perpetual lament. Just as before, the roses throb, as before, the huge proud lilies waver in the air. I know every lark coming and going. I'd even found the statue of the barbarian prophetess, still upright down the walk, her plaster spalling, slender among the mignonets and cypades. It's actually insipidities, which is an interesting word to translate. Also, I thought mignonette was a French word. I don't know what it means, but it doesn't appear in the original French version of the poem, so now I'm confused. Um, I need to do a little research, apparently. Expand the vocabulary. Poem 4, Wish. The first love whispers, the first mistresses, blonde hair, blue eyes, the flesh and flower, and then, amid the smell of bodies young and dear, the timid spontaneity of caresses. How far away is it, such happiness, and such naivety? Alas, every reminder of nostalgic spring has fled the black winter, of disgust, my boredom, my distress, so that I am alone right now, gloomy and alone, gloomy and hopeless like an old man chilled to the bone. like a poor orphan without a big sister. Oh, the woman whose love is tender, warming, surprised by nothing, sweet, thoughtful, who with her dark hair kisses you sometimes on the forehead like a child. Wish. I want to point out the title of that poem, Wish, is a beautiful French word. Vu, V-O-E-U. I don't know. I like those little oddities. Poem 5, Lassitude. For bats, and it has the um, ascription, for battles of love, a field of down. Gongora, quoted from Gongora. Softly, 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 charming woman, you must calm this feverishness a bit. Sometimes a lover, even at pleasure's height, should know a peaceful sisterly abandon. Be languorous, make your caress a doze, let your sighs and the lullaby of your glance be one. The jealous clutch and the obsessing spasm, come on, aren't even worth one long kiss of deceit. But in your dear gold heart you tell me, child, reddish passion blows a horn of ivory curled. Let her blow there all she wants, the troll. Put your hand in my hand, your brow on my brow, and make me promises you will break tomorrow. And let us weep till daybreak, my little fireball. I'd like to note the French of my little fireball is ou petite fougueuse, which is wonderful. Also that last stanza, put your hand in my hand, your brow on my brow, and make me promises you will break tomorrow. And let us weep till daybreak, my little fireball. Ooh, the juxtaposition of weeping and the fireball, the knowledge that the promises will be broken and the sorrow for that knowledge. So, really great poem. Wonderful. Poem 6, My Familiar Dream. Often I have this dream, a strange searching dream of a woman I don't know, whom I love and who loves me, and who is not each time different exactly, but loving me, understanding me, is neither the same. Because only she understands me, and my heart, a medium, transparent only to her, alas, stops being a problem only for her. And the sweat from my pale forehead, only she can soothe it away as her own tears come. Is she a brunette or blonde? I don't know. A redhead? Her name? I remember it is sweet how it resonated, like those of loved ones since banished by life. Her gaze, a statue's gaze, is similar. As for her voice, it has distant, calm, grave, the modulation of voices gone silent, but dear. Poem 7, To a Woman. For you these lines, for the sake of the consoling grace, where a sweet dream laughs and weeps too in your huge eyes, for your soul, pure and entirely good, I pledge these lines from the bottom of my intense distress. Because the gruesome nightmare that haunts me, alas, gives no quarter and in a mad, jealous rage repeats itself like wolves in a cortege, dragging down my destiny, it so bloodies. Oh, I suffer frightfully, so much that the first groan uttered by the first man, driven from Eden, is nothing but an eclogue next to it. and whatever cares you might have are no more than swallows across an afternoon sky. Darling, on a fine, lukewarm September day. Poem 8, Dread. Nature, nothing in you moves me, not the nurturing fields, nor the ruddy echo of Sicilian pastoral, nor the dawn's pomp, nor the doleful solemnity of the sun setting as it is setting. I scoff at art, I scoff at man also, song and verses, Greek temples, towers, stairs, and spirals, stretched into the empty sky by cathedrals. A single glance for good and bad sufficing. I don't believe in God. I renounce and I abjure all thought. As for that old irony, I conjure that no one should speak to me of love again. Tired of life, afraid of death, not unlike a lost brig, toy of ebb and flow on the ocean, my soul weighs anchor for a frightful shipwreck. And that was his Melancholia, the Melancholia of Verlaine. That sounds like a great title for a painting or something. Again, I wish I was more prepared for this. I should have read the introduction. I should have done a little bit of research into Verlaine. I should have brushed up on French. Um, but I'm just glad to be back at it. Um, and it is getting to 9:30, so we'll read a few more. Let's see if, okay. So the next section is called Etchings. I'm going to skip to the back of the book where we have other poems, Utre's poems, and we'll read Initium. With the song of the flutes, the violins mingled their laughter, and the dance spun around me when I saw her pass, her blonde hair playing on the whirl of her ear, where my desire darted like a kiss, and wanted to speak to her but did not dare this. Yet it seemed that the slow mazurka in her going carried in her its languid rhythm like a verse, rhyme melodious, image dazzling, and her child's soul was shining through the sensual fullness of her gray-green eyes. And ever since my thought gazes, immobile, at her recalled splendor in adoration, and into the memory of it, as if into the temple, my love enters, full of superstition, and I believe that it is coming, passion. He is quite the Frenchman, not to stereotype or anything, but he is a very passionate writer, which I appreciate. Um, I think you have to have a little French in you if you want to write poetry, I guess. You know, the stereotypical French, full of passion and a little bit of vulgarity. But I guess that's reductive because we find that in every culture. Um, and I'm only saying that because I like translated French poetry from the 1900s and late 1800s. And I'm just glad to be reading it, I guess. And I'm happy to give Verlaine his accolades. Suburbae. The cemetery's small yews tremble in the glacial light, in the wintry breeze, with muffled sounds that hurt. On the new graves, wooden crosses irregularly vibrate, silently as rivers, but swollen with tears like a flood. The sons, the widows and mothers, along the curves of the sad enclosure, in a slow cortege disperse to the rhythm of sobs interrupted. The earth beneath their feet slips and cries, while huge twisted clouds overhead wildly dishevel themselves, piercing as remorse a heavy cold descends that sickens you, and that must seep down to the dead, to the poor dead who are always alone and shivering endlessly, whether we forget them or are able to. Weep for them. Ah, let the spring come quickly, and its bright sun that caresses, and its sweet birds is babbling. Let the flower again the enchanting glories of the gardens and the fields that bitter winter keeps in distress. And let, from sunset set to sunrise, the spread of gold of a sky that is boundless, rock with its songs and its scents, your dismal sleep, dear sleepers. Let's see. That's a little long. Okay. We're going to read the other poem called Nevermore. There's a second Nevermore in this book, so we have to visit it and compare. Nevermore. Let's go, my poor heart. Let's go, my old accomplice. Your triumphal arches, let them be repainted and righted. Burn stale incense on your altars of false gold. Sow flowers among the yawning edges of the precipice. Let's go, my poor heart. Let's go, my old accomplice. Raise to God, O rejuvenated bard, your canticle. Strike up your splendid Te Deums, horse organ, old before your time, wrinkled, slap some rouge on. Cover yourself with rich brown carpets, yellowed wall. Raise to God, O rejuvenated bard, your canticle. Ring, round bells, ring, little bells, ring on. For my impossible dream has been embodied, and I have held it in my arms, happiness, this winged traveler who avoids the approach of man. Ring, round bells, ring, little bells, bells, ring on. Happiness walks side by side with me, but fatality knows no respite. Walking is in the dream, the worm is in the fruit. Remorse is in love, that is how it must be. Happiness walks side by side with me. Nevermore. Thank you all for joining. Have a great night. I'll see you eventually.